If you find yourself worrying about what other people think, then this video will help you to stop making those assumptions. Have you ever sent an email or a text message and sat there waiting for a reply, wondering how that person is going to receive your message? Perhaps they didn't reply and you started to worry that maybe what you had said upset them or angered that person. What I found helps me deal with this anxiety is to remind myself that I'm doing the best job that I can, and I cannot control how other people react. I can only control my own actions. Accept that you cannot read minds, and no one sees the world through your eyes. Stick to what is happening at the moment. More often than not, the person might not have had time to read your email at that moment, and when they do, they'll get back to you. If you're coming up with a bunch of ideas for why something isn't going the way that you planned, ask yourself if that's the most likely scenario or you're simply jumping to conclusions. It's also possible the person read your email and didn't realize they needed to reply to it. To prevent this from happening, I suggest adding an action step to the bottom of your email, such as, if this is approved, send me a thumbs up. That makes it much easier for the person to know that you're looking for a yes or no, and if they have any questions, they'll include it in that email to you. Another scenario is when a friend or family asks to talk, or a client requests you schedule a meeting. Instead of coming up with negative reasons for why they're contacting you, ask them why. It sounds simple, and you may find yourself scared of asking that question, but I would rather know the reason for the meeting than to have all these doubts in my mind for what could have upset them. I find having phrases memorized helps to pull from when you're in a situation where you're not sure what the other person is expecting. Here are a few ways to better communicate with friends and family, people at work, and people that you don't know. For friends and family, you can say, "I'm not sure I understood you correctly. Can you please elaborate?" You can also repeat back to them what they communicated to you and ask them to confirm if that's all correct. This also shows that you were a good listener, and I'm sure they'll appreciate that. Take a moment to think about your time at work with either bosses or coworkers or employees. Has there been a time when you took the initiative to move forward with a project and you didn't have the full scope of work, or there were questions that were unanswered, and you delivered the job and there were mistakes? Take the proactive approach and make sure all your questions are answered before you start working on that project to make sure there's no gray area and all parties are on the same page. If a client has emailed you requesting time for a meeting and they didn't specify what the meeting is about, instead of coming up with all these ideas for what could be wrong, simply reply asking for them to give you a brief description of the meeting. That way you can come prepared. You'll be presenting yourself as a professional with great communication skills, and you'll be prepared for that meeting in advance. A powerful lesson I learned is what other people think of you is a reflection of themselves. If you're spending time worrying what a stranger on the street thinks about you, remind yourself that they may only spend a couple seconds thinking about you before they go back to thinking about themselves. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel. I post weekly videos on productivity and wellness. I'll see you in the next video.